Station Houston for Paolo, we're ready for the event.
Houston Station, ready.
Italian Space Agency, this is Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Italian Space Agency, this is station, really loud and clear. Buongiorno.
Buongiorno.
Good day, here we are.
Ciao Paolo, Simona. Come va?
Hi Paolo, this is Simona. How are you?
Giorni?
Are you working hard these days?
Buongiorno Simona, buongiorno a te.
Good day, Simona, to you and everyone else. And welcome on board the International Space Station. These days are pretty packed because we've been starting to work with a full schedule. We gave us a bit of a slow rhythm in the beginning to get used to the environment. And now we're working really hard. And we also have some pretty complex activities that are coming up, like the HTV, the Japanese vehicle. And there are many things that are going to be happening. And we're here with President Saggese. And we can see you in the Columbus lab. Can you tell us what's going on there and what are you working on these days? This is one of the labs that's on board the International Space Station. It's the Columbus European Lab. And it's actually been built in Italy, as other modules on station have been. There's also the American lab. And what we usually do during our days is spending time in these labs to make sure all systems are functioning. And we spend our days to make sure that everything is working appropriately, to make sure everything is organized and prepared for the upcoming activities. And we also conduct science and experiments for scientists on Earth that have entrusted us on how to utilize this environment to conduct experiments that we cannot conduct on Earth.
Domani arriva l'HTV e poi
tomorrow the HTV is coming, and at the end of February,
come stanno andando I preparativi per questi due attracchi?
The Kepler mission. So how are the preparations going for these two docking activities? Very well. These vehicles are very important. Without these vehicles, we cannot continue our work, both on an experimental standpoint, but also to continue our work in general. So it's very important that these vehicles arrive and bring us things that we need. So the ATV and the HTV are very important. And Katie, my American colleague, will be responsible for grappling the Japanese vehicle, which, differently from the ATV, which docks on itself, for the HTV, the final part, the vehicle stops about 10 meters from the station and hovers, slightly moves, because it's basically flying in a synchronized manner And with the mechanical arm, we're going to go get it and then bring it on board station, which is a complex operation. And we completed the training in Houston, and we're definitely ready.
Ciao Paolo, Enrico.
Hi Paolo, Enrico.
Innanzitutto informare che sei collegato oltre che qui con l'ASI con Altec.
I wanted to let you know that aside from ASI, you're also connected to Altec.
Fortunatamente per te, ma ti sentono.
But and they cannot ask you questions, fortunately for you, but they can hear you.
Sai perché su internet sarà già uscito, tu sei sempre collegato e che sei stato inserito nella rosa dei candidati per gli Shorty Awards.
And you probably know that you've been selected for the Shorty Awards on the internet,
E sei in corsa per la scienza.
for the social media awards.
Per votarti, immagino che adesso ti metterai in collegamento per farti votare.
And you're probably going to go on the internet to try and get votes.
Enrico, ti ringrazio per
Enrico, thank you
questa visita che ci stai facendo alla Stazione Spaziale Internazionale.
for this visit to the space station.
Amici di Altec a Torino.
I'd like to say hello to the people at Altec in Turin that are continuing to support us. Regarding the Shorty Award,
Non sapevo neanche dell'esistenza di questo.
I didn't even know it existed,
Ho visto questi Twitter che hanno
but I've seen on Twitter
ad andare.
all these messages that started going.
Non so se
So
non so se mi sento di meritarlo o no.
I don't know if I deserve it,
Come sia la cosa. Lascio
and I don't even know how it works.
decidere se questa è una cosa che
So I let the people decide if it's something that makes sense, and I let them do what they feel like doing.
La prima domanda che ci viene in mente è di farti
The first question we can think of
quali sono i cambiamenti che hai notato nella stazione spaziale fra la tua prima visita e questa?
is, what are the changes that you've noticed from your first visit to the space station and now, and if you think it was better now or then?
sono venuto l'altra volta era solo 3 anni fa.
So last time I came was only 3 years ago, but the station has changed with the arrival of the Node 2, which is the node we brought on board. We increased the volume,
Anche questa possibilità di aggiungere il modulo Colombo,
and we've also been able to add the Columbus module, the Japanese module,
modulo 3,
Node 3,
quasi tutti di questi elementi costruiti in Italia.
and almost all these elements built in Italy, the cupola.
La stazione è veramente diventata
So the station
più un laboratorio
has truly become an excellent lab with
facility a disposizione
with all this instrumentation that scientists can make use of.
internazionali. Ma anche per noi come astronauti
But also for us,
è stata un luogo dove
as astronauts,
per lavorare e
the
soggiornare
station has become a place where we can work and live
senza il nodo 2, senza il nodo 3 si
with more comforts. You know, without Node 2 and 3, we sort of camped around with sleeping bags,
posto che
whereas now we have a place
chiamare la nostra
that we can call our little room,
andare lì dentro e
that we can go in there and we have our things.
lì dentro. E poi per ultimo c'è la cupola che è
And lastly, we have the cupola, which is a beautiful spot for looking at the Earth.
faccio queste fotografie che poi
And it's a place that usually I take pictures that I put on the internet.
oltre che utile
And it's beautiful, and it's of course useful.
per fare l'aggancio
For example, we use the cupola for the docking of the Japanese module.
Mi spiegava Steve McLean, l'astronauta a capo dell'Agenzia Spaziale Canadese, che quello che ti invia di più è forse
Steve McLean was telling me
cupola. Questa possibilità
that the thing he envies the most is the cupola
la Terra come la descrivi tu e con
and the ability to see the Earth the way you describe
per
it.
accedere alla cupola o il primo che si sveglia la mattina si precipita lì?
Do you take turns accessing the cupola, or is it whoever wakes up in the morning first?
è stata fatta in Italia.
Well, the cupola has been made in Italy,
Facciamo le cose, le facciamo bene.
so when we make things, we build them well.
Per accomodare tranquillamente 3 astronauti lì
It has many windows to comfortably accommodate 3 astronauts, so we're usually by ourselves or in
E devo dire che
couples.
sembra perché c'è già un'altra finestra nel laboratorio.
And I have to say that there is another window in the lab,
Sono 40 centimetri di diametro.
but it's 40 centimeters in diameter,
Visione veramente
whereas the cupola gives you very different much more complete view, and it gives you an opportunity to enjoy this view. So it's a very important addition that has rendered the station much more habitable.
Come ultima domanda,
Last question.
c'è una domanda da alcuni giornalisti
There's a question from some journalists
che forse ti fanno anche qualche ragazzo che vede
that maybe you get from some young persons too.
la doccia sulla stazione spaziale,
Is it,
come si mangia, come
how do you take a shower on the station? How do you eat? How do you sleep?
riguardo alle difficoltà di vita e quanto
Any
tempo
comment
è voluto per adattarsi
on the difficulties of living there and how long it takes to get used to living in a microgravity environment? So Rico, first I wanted to say real quick that it's not that we spend most of our time in the cupola. In fact, most of the time there's no one in there. One of the good things is one of the physical exercises that we have to do, which is the weight machine. It's right underneath the cupola. So whenever we're working out, you have the window in front of you where you can just look up. The microgravity environment is very interesting. It really makes you understand how there are things that we do on Earth that are difficult that here you can do without any effort. There are things that here are easy that are hard on Earth and vice versa. For example, taking a shower. Here it's practically impossible to take a shower because the water would go everywhere, so you can't. So the only way to wash yourself is to use some soapy water and use a towel. So this is one of the things that probably I miss the most, being able to feel water on your skin. Eating some fruit from the Italian cuisine that I miss rather than prepackaged meals. But it is very important to be here for an extended amount of time. So we get used to it.
Paolo, sono Simona di nuovo. A parte
Paolo, this is Simona again.
Italiano ci manca anche in Olanda, per cui sai.
Aside from the fact that we're also missing Italian food in the Netherlands, but jokes aside, can you tell us how the experiment of the plants is going, this educational experiment that you're conducting? Yes. This is an educational experiment that was thought up by the Italian Space Agency. And it's an interesting experiment that will begin once the ATV will bring us the appropriate components. It's a simple experiment, so we'll grow some plants here in orbit. But the interesting things is that we'll give the various European classes a little kit so that they'll be able to do the same things that I'm doing here in orbit. And then we'll exchange observations. It's something simple, but learning how to utilize something simple to make observations of scientific nature, such as trying to measure parameters, it's an important thing. And it's an essential step that allows students to start thinking in a technical and scientific manner. And I'm very happy that the European Space Agency was able to put this experiment on board. And I'm looking forward to start it and be able to contact all the students in schools. Just a second, I have a journalist that has a special question for you. Good day, I'm Parlangeli from the Focus magazine.
Sullo spazio, ma sappiamo che lì non è possibile.
Puoi farci vedere qualcosa di simile? Qualcosa come un brindisi che per noi poi giù.
We'd like to toast with you, but we know it's impossible. So can you show us something similar, such as toasting in space?
Innanzitutto benvenuti a voi di Focus.
First of all, welcome everyone from Focus magazine. It's not every day that you get to come up here. And I'm convinced that in the future you'll be able to send up one of your journalists up here. Liquids here behave in a strange manner. We don't have glasses. We basically have everything in little bags with a straw and a little valve that we use so that everything doesn't just come out. One of the American colleagues has decided to design a special cup. These are applications that are studied. For example, in space vehicle tanks, we use a similar approach. So one thing that's hard doing on Earth, that's easy to do on space and vice versa, is drinking something. So to toast to you for the 18th year of Focus magazine,
facendo galleggiare il liquido direttamente nell'aria e berlo così senza bicchiere. Attenzione, non provate a farlo.
So I will show you a toast where I'm going to let the liquid float and drink it without a cup. So don't try this at home.
Auguri a Focus e ai suoi 18 anni.
Best wishes to Focus in its 18th years.
Paolo, siamo quasi in chiusura. C'è un messaggio che vuoi mandare qua dalla stazione?
Paolo, we're almost done.
Tutti riuniti.
Is there a message you want to send from the space station?
Il più possibile per il successo di questa missione.
Is there something you want to say for the success of this mission for the European manned space flight?
Sì, volevo innanzitutto ringraziare
First of all,
personalmente e l'Agenzia Spaziale Europea
I wanted to thank you and the European Space Agency for the efforts they've made to further the station and utilize it in the best way possible. I'd like to thank President Saggese and the Italian Space Agency for the contribution to the European Space Agency to continue space station and its programs. These are complex, expensive, and difficult works, and our job is to find things to utilize the station for, and also make sure these things can happen quickly. For example, our procedures currently are very complex, and it takes time to bring things in space. So we should find a way to bring things up more easily. So I ask you to continue to do that. It's an important station to continue exploring, but also to give us a different point of view and new here in space, to continue to allow everyone to dream, because even with our dreams, we continue to grow. Thank you again to everyone.
Ciao anche da parte nostra, Paolo.
Bye from everyone here too.
Purtroppo non siamo venuti al tuo lancio perché
Unfortunately, we didn't make it to your launch
un council dell'ESA, quindi
because of an ESA council.
non ce ne organizzi un altro quando scendi in maniera che ti veniamo.
So hopefully they'll organize something when you come back so we can come see you. Again, thank you for being with us.
Enrico, grazie.
Enrico, thank you.
Quando tornerò avrò un po' da fare con debriefing.
I'm sure when I come back I'll have a lot to do with rehab and debriefings. But as soon as I'm done, I'll come by the Italian Space Agency in Rome to bring you firsthand the things that we've done and how we can continue this work in the future. Thank you.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the event. Thank you.
Thank you, Italian Space Agency.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Italian Space Agency. Station, we are now resuming operational audio communications.